Dear students, great day. Let us start our session with Civics Unit 3 Human Rights. In this session, we are going to learn about the basic human rights ensured in the Indian Constitution, the functions of institutions and issues involved in human rights, and the types of human rights. Human rights refer to the right of every person to live a dignified life without facing any discrimination on the basis of religion, gender, caste, race, or country. The term discrimination means partial treatment of people. Human Rights Day is celebrated every year on 10th December. On 7th June 1893, while a person was on his way to Pretoria in South Africa, a white man objected the person's presence of a non-white man in a first-class carriage, and the person was ordered to move to a van compartment at the end of the train. The man who had the first-class ticket refused to leave and was thrown off, shivering in the winter night in the waiting room of the station. The spirit for active non-violence started from that moment. The person was called Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi made the momentous decision to stay on in South Africa and fight racial discrimination against the Indians. Out of that struggle emerged his unique way of protest non-violence satyagraha. As a human being, Gandhiji had all the rights to travel in the first-class compartment, but he was discriminated because of his skin color. Discrimination is not only based on color, it is on the basis of race, gender, place of birth, caste, religion, and so on. Due to these discriminations, people are prohibited from enjoying their basic human rights. History of human rights. The history of human rights has roots in all the great events of the world, and it has sustained the struggle for freedom and equality everywhere. The United Nations Organization, that is UNO, was formed on 24th October 1945 after the Second World War. It proposed to deal with the consequences of war and to prevent such happenings in the future. October 24 is celebrated as UNO Day. Apartheid was the highest form of discrimination that existed in South Africa. Places of residence were determined by racial classification. It was a governing policy in the country by the majority whites over the minority non-whites. The people of South Africa protested against racial discrimination. Nelson Mandela raised his voice against apartheid. When he organized campaigns against the government, he was imprisoned. Amid growing domestic and international pressure, and with the fear of a racial civil war, President F.W. de Klerk released him in 1990. The efforts taken by Mandela and de Klerk put an end to apartheid. In 1994, a multiracial general election was held in which Mandela led the African National Congress to victory and became president. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a milestone document in the history of human rights. It was drafted by the representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on 10th December 1948 as a common standard of achievement of all people and all nations. The first time it sets out the fundamental human rights to be universally protected and the UDHR has been translated into many languages. There are 30 articles in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it guarantees freedom of expression as well as civil, political, social, economic, and cultural rights. These rights apply to all people irrespective of their race, gender, and nationality, as all people are born free and equal. Social, economic, and cultural rights are integral part of the human rights. Social rights are necessary for full participation in the society. Economic rights guarantee every person to have conditions under which they are able to meet their needs. Cultural rights are human rights that aim at assuring the enjoyment of culture and its components in conditions of equality, human dignity, and non discrimination. Civil and political rights protect an individual's freedom. The term civil rights refers to the basic rights afforded by laws of the government to every person regardless of race, nationality, color, gender, age, religion, etc. Political rights exercised in the formation and administration of a government. They are given to the citizens by law. These rights give power to the citizens to participate either directly or indirectly in the administration. Fundamental rights are required for the all round development of a human being. They make the life of the people meaningful by giving them rights like speech and to live in an area of their choice. The fundamental rights are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of conscience and religion, cultural and educational rights for minorities, right to constitutional remedies. Right to equality. It refers to equality before law and equal protection of law. Prohibition or discrimination on the grounds of religion, caste, races, gender, or place of birth is offensive and one can seek justice from court. Right to freedom. 6 different types of freedom are mentioned in the Constitution. They are freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble peacefully without arms, freedom to form associations and unions, freedom to reside and settle in any part of India, freedom to move freely throughout the territory of India, freedom to practice any profession and carry on any occupation, trade, or business. Right against exploitation. It is against the law to employ children below 14 years of age in mines, factories, or other occupations. Neither contractor nor an employer can force a worker to do a job against their will. Right to freedom of conscience and religion. This right gives the citizens freedom to follow and practice a religion of their choice. All citizens have the freedom of conscience or ideas. The citizens also have the freedom to follow their own ways for practicing any religion. Cultural and educational rights. The Constitution gives us the right to preserve, protect, and promote culture. We have the right to open schools, associations, and societies to preserve and promote our tradition and culture. Similarly, a group of people may open a school for imparting religious education to children. The government also promotes such activities by giving grants. However, such institutions cannot deny admission to anyone based on their caste, color, creed, or even religion. Right to constitutional remedies. Fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution. By this right, a person can adopt constitutional means and approach a court if he is denied the fundamental rights. The court then issues orders which are called to the government to restore the rights to the citizen. Writ is a written order from the court or other legal authority ordering to do an act or not to do it. Fundamental duties. These are in the form of duties and responsibilities of citizens. The original constitution, which came into force with effect from 26 January 1950, did not contain fundamental duties. These were incorporated in the Constitution by the 42nd Amendment Act in 1976. The Constitution states 11 fundamental duties. Respect for the Constitution and its deals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. To follow and cherish the noble ideas which inspired our national struggle for freedom. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, integrity of India. To defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. To promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. To protect and improve the natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife and have compassion on living creatures. To develop the scientific temper, humanism and spirit of inquiry and reform. To safeguard public property and to oppose violence. To provide opportunities for education by the parent and guardian to their child or ward up to the age of 14 years. National Human Rights Commission. National Human Rights Commission is an autonomous body constituted on 12th October 1993 under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. NHRC is responsible for the protection and promotion of human rights in India. The office is located in New Delhi. State Human Rights Commission. Every state in India has a State Human Rights Commission. Section 21 of the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. The protection and promotion of human rights constitute the principal concern of the Commission. The office is a Human Rights is located in Chennai. Child rights. A child is a person who has not completed the age of 18 years, that is, a minor as per UNO. The principle is exhibited in Articles 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Based on these principles, the Declaration of the Rights of the Child was accepted and adopted in the UN General Assembly on 20th November 1989. The rights are right to life, right to family environment, right to education, right to benefit from social security, right against sexual exploitation, right against sale or trafficking, right against other forms of exploitation like child labor. Right to life. A child has a right to survive even before its birth. The right to survival also includes the right to be born, the right to basic needs of food, shelter, and clothing, and a dignified living. Right to family environment. A child has a right to live a normal childhood in a family environment. Children who have been left destitute, abandoned, also have the right to live. These children can be given for adoption to caring families. Right to education. Right to Education Act is an act of the Parliament of India enacted in 2009 for free and compulsory education for children from 6 to 14 years of age as under Article 21A of the Constitution. Right to benefit from Social Security. Children should get financial support from the country when their parents or guardians are unable to provide them with the good standard of living by themselves due to any illness, disability, or old age. Right against sexual exploitation. The state should protect children from sexual exploitation and abuse when they are forced to take part in sexual activities physically or mentally. POCSO Act. Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. The Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 records the best interest of the children as being of paramount importance at every stage. Silent features of POCSO Act. The Act defines a child as any person below 18 years of age to ensure the healthy, physical, emotional, and social development of the child. The statement of the child is to be recorded exactly as a child narrates. A child not to be called repeatedly to testify. Right against sale or trafficking of children. Children should be treated as individuals with fundamental human rights. Children are vulnerable. There are root causes such as poverty, gender discrimination, broken families, etc. behind the sale or trafficking of children. Right against other forms of exploitation like child labor. Children are often employed in several industries. These children are deprived of their childhood, health, and education. This leads to a life of poverty and want. Work is mostly gender specific, with girls performing more house based work while boys are employed as wage labor. Since these children work in agricultural fields, restaurants, motor repair workshops, and home based industries, elimination of child labor remains a challenge. The National Commission for Women is constituted in India to review the constitutional and legal safeguards for women, recommends remedial measures, and advises the government on all the matters of policy affecting the welfare and development of women in the country. In modern India, women have held high offices like that of the President, Prime Minister, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Leader of the Opposition, Union Ministers, Chief Ministers, and Governors. Women's rights under the Constitution of India mainly include equality, dignity, and freedom from discrimination. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar framed many laws for women workers in India, such as Mines Maternity Benefit Act, Women Labour Welfare Fund, Women and Child Labour Protection Act, Maternity Benefit for Women Labour, and Restoration of Ban on Employment of Women on Underground Work in Coal Mines. Reservations. The state of Tamil Nadu provides 69% of reservation to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. Most backward classes are denotified communities and backward classes in public employment and in educational institutions. Backward class Muslims are granted separate reservation. The following table gives us a very clear picture of the percentage of reservation for various communities by the government of Tamil Nadu. Under each reserved category and in general category, 30% is reserved for women and 4% is reserved for differently abled persons. Special reservation to Arundhatias has been granted by preferential allotment of seats within the seats reserved for scheduled caste. Right to Information Act. The Right to Information Act is a revolutionary act that aims to promote transparency in the government institutions in India. This act was enacted in October 2005. A common man can demand any government organization to provide information. The information must be provided within 30 days. If not, a fee will be collected as penalty from the concerned official. It is one of the most powerful laws of the country. This act is people friendly. Even an illiterate people can ask any public information officer to write it down for him. All government agencies, municipal corporation, government departments, government schools, road authorities, etc. come under this act. Labor rights. The Constitution ensures right to equality, equality of opportunity in public employment, right to form associations and unions, forced labor and child labor, etc. Article 39D ensures equal wages to male and female workers for equal work. Contribution of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That is, reduction in factory working hours, employment exchange in India, employees state insurance, that is ESI, minimum wages for employees, coal and mica mines provident fund. In this session, we learned about the basic human rights ensured in the Indian Constitution, the functions of institutions and issues involved in human rights, and the types of human rights. Thank you.